Good day and welcome to this episode of Corporate Access with myself, Nastasia Arendse. This two-part episode highlights available ICT solutions in an era where technological advancements are seen and experienced more frequently than ever before, but so is the risks associated with new technology. In today's episode, we take a look at cybersecurity. The digital age has ushered in an era where data and connectivity are at the core of business operations, making cybersecurity an essential pillar for organizations across industries. As companies increasingly adopt digital transformation initiatives and embrace technologies, the need for resilient and comprehensive cybersecurity measures has never been more critical. Sudipto Moitra, the General Manager for ICT Solutions for MTN Business, joins me in studio to delve deeper into this. Sudipto, thank you so much for your time.
Hello, Nastasia, and thanks for having me at the studios.
So MTN Business has been working proactively to enhance cybersecurity awareness. Take me through the importance of these initiatives, but also how you're approaching cybersecurity within the organization.
Yeah, thanks. I think cybersecurity, has become the most important and the significant challenge that any enterprises faces today. And, at MTN South Africa, we are internally in our own environment through our CISO office, Chief Information Security Officer office. We are constantly looking at multitude of things that we're doing, to protect our clients, to protect our stakeholders in this landscape of threats that we are constantly facing. So within MTN South Africa, we are proactive in preventing fraud and, also cyber attacks, through multifaceted, multi-layer security controls that we put in. And that includes, things like the awareness campaigns, the stringent compliance measures, the controls that we put across the board, supported by a very strong, robust infrastructure security, which is very important, and all the anti-fraud, initiatives that we constantly look into. And, our approach also includes, to stay a little bit ahead. As we all know, it's going to happen. The question is when. So how do you, in that dynamic environment, continuously to look into, create the awareness, create the education, which is also something we take very seriously. And this is how we look at protecting our own internal business and the businesses in the enterprise space from a cybersecurity perspective.
As we continue on the topic of internal cybersecurity, we see a lot of companies becoming more digital. They're storing their data on the cloud. What should they be considering, especially if they want to protect their businesses?
Yeah, I think moving to the cloud is a given, right? I mean, I think the organizations are at different maturity. And as the different enterprise clients, move into the cloud, again, there is a multi-layered approach that is required from a cybersecurity resilience perspective. There are a few things that we do internally in our own environment and we also take into the market. The independent teams frequently assessing our systems become very important. What's very important, we believe, is, at the time of inceptions, when we're writing applications or we have to have the controls embedded in the SDLC cycle of the different application. This means that when we are looking at the development, the security controls are very clearly defined and intertwined so that we're not leaving any gaps. And also, the chances of vulnerability, reduction of that becomes also quite key in our opinion. And then further to that, the endpoint security, the security configuration, and the ongoing vulnerability management are some of the other things that are very important. Further to that, as the applications are moved into the cloud, the controls that are required on the cloud environment, whether it's a public cloud, whether it's a private cloud, most of the organizations are going with a hybrid cloud approach, and the security controls across the lay of the land become super critical in making sure that, we take care of all the threats, etc., that come from moving into the cloud.
With that said, I can imagine a lot of our viewers are curious about the cybersecurity vulnerabilities that are associated with specific industries. Which industries are more susceptible to cybersecurity threats and why?
Yeah, I think every industry is susceptible to the cyber threats, but there's a lot of data around that. If we look at global data, or if we look at the data that is available in on the continent, specifically for South Africa as MTN business, we also every year spend a lot of time to come up with the local data. And what it shows is, if you look at healthcare as an example, it is always one of the verticals that globally, the cyber threats are looming over. And the specific reason for that, it's about the personal information, through these cyber breaches that can be assessed, becomes a big nightmare for the government, for the corporates, and for the individuals. So that is always the healthcare sector, is very critical in making the cybersecurity measures are in place. The next one is probably industries that have got critical infrastructure. So if you look at the likes of, utilities, water, transportation, and we have seen this, even if you include tourism by and large, with all the key hotspots that we have for any country, if you can take that down, you're almost like taking the whole country down. And this is where I think, the attacks on the power grid, attacks on, critical infrastructure around, the hackers that they target. And it's sometimes also, especially on the operational technology side, it's a very easy entry point in creating, that threat. So definitely the critical infrastructure industries, also is quite, about the vulnerabilities that gets created. The other industry is financial services. As we all know, financial services, FSI, including insurance, they are always leading with, the digital transformation that they're doing. And they are also at the forefront of implementing all the new technologies. So as in the financial sector, the new age modernization come into effect with the likes of the legacy environment, it is always a threat. And this is where I think the cyber criminals, due to the high volume of sensitive information, whether it's transactional information, whether it is the information related to personal information, they are susceptible to all these fraudulent strikes. And especially since everything is online, everything is digital, finding a loophole in that financial services becomes very important. And lastly, if I have to generalize, when we're talking about the cybersecurity vulnerabilities, if you look at the industries from a segment perspective, at MTN Business, we look at the SME, we look at large enterprise, we look at public enterprise, pretty much across the board, there are different areas that, the hackers, the market is targeting to kind of breach in. And that is why I think, the trends are pretty much similar across the different board.
You've been at the forefront in providing cybersecurity solutions to help businesses protect their digital assets as well as their operations. Take me through how you're doing that with the different products and also, again, what sets you apart.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, over the past 30 years of our glorious MTN history, we have really learned the market, the enterprise market. When we talk about us operating in the enterprise space, as mentioned, we operate in SME, small, medium enterprise, large enterprise, public enterprise. So our solutions of what we have learned is very much dovetailed to segment specific. And predominantly we have come from the infrastructure world. So over the past 30 years, I think we have had a lot of security solutions, security control that spans in the infrastructure space, whether it's the network, whether it's the data center, and to give some examples, for example, the firewall management, we have worked with multiple OEMs to bring firewall management, which is around the network and around the, the enterprise landscape. We also, since as a telco, some of the key strengths that we have is around devices, any devices that you use, you need security control. So another product that has been very strong of what we have taken in South Africa is MDM, mobile device management, which brings the security control and not only the control of locking the devices, but also the whole user behavior and how does the data privacy and some of the regulations can be taken care of. In the next 30 years, as we look at our journey, we are looking at partnering with various OEMs to transform our own portfolio of cybersecurity that we want to take into the market. Earlier we spoke about the cloud and the journey of the cloud, and this is where we are partnering with the likes of Cloudflare, that are bringing in some cutting-edge cloud controls, so that we can take it to the different enterprise clients. We also do a lot of work with the likes of Microsoft, with our partnership with them. We're looking at the different security controls also in the SME, small and medium enterprise segments. And then our security controls across the compute and network, working with the likes of Huawei, with the likes of Cisco, becomes very, very critical. And finally, a lot of the things over the next 30 years we're doing through partnership and alliances. I've mentioned some of the leaders in there. We're also looking at working with the likes of Fortinet, where as the network moves into more of a software defined, how do we have the embedded security controls that we can bring to bear? Our ambition in the cybersecurity space is to become a managed security services provider, MSSP, and this is where we continue to make the necessary investment from a skills perspective, because this is a very domain specific, this is a very consultative led space that we're looking into, and we're working with our different regions to see that how we can bring some of the security controls for the CISOs and the different corporates in South Africa.
Sudipto, thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, this is where we'll have to park this conversation at the moment. A thank you to my guest, Sudipto Moitra, who is the General Manager for ICT Solutions for MTN Business, joining me in studio today. To our viewers, do tune in again for the second leg of this technological conversation on ICT Solutions. But until then, it's a goodbye for now.